Hey gang, this is John, and I was tagged by my buddy Rob Andersbork to show my EDC knives. First off, I wanted to say I'm filming in my little angel's room because it has the best lighting in the house, and so that's it. You can see the decor. In case anybody was wondering why I have this sort of backdrop. Anyway, Rob tagged me for my EDC knives, and so I wanted to do a two-part thing because just my regular EDC knives would be extremely boring because I work in front of a $12,000 toolbox full of stuff, and so I really don't need that many tools on my person. So what my regular EDC knife is for every day is just, and I looked this up so I know exactly what it was. It's a Victorinox Hiker, and the reason why I like it is because it has two nice blades. This is a spear point blade. That's the main blade, and then the second blade is a smaller one for a little more delicate work. I like this for a couple of reasons. The main one, besides the blades, is it has a nice saw. And all the time I'm using this saw for making hearth boards. Helps me with the notch. So it's easier to saw rather than try whittling your way in there. So I first saw a couple of swipes through, and then I use my knife blade to whittle it out. That's one of the main reasons why I like this particular one. It also has a Phillips screwdriver on it instead of a corkscrew, which I find I don't really need a corkscrew. If I want to open a bottle of wine, I can get it open without having to always carry a corkscrew with me. And it has an awl with an eye in it for sewing, which is a really handy option too. So this is my everyday carry that I have in my pocket all the time. And so what I thought I would do is go through what I carry with me anytime I'm out hiking or even in my car, but mostly like hiking. I carry a neck knife. This one is my new EDC neck knife. This is one that my sister and brother-in-law bought me for a Christmas present this year, and it's a custom made by Higgins, and it's out in Colorado. But it's a beautiful neck knife. I just love this, and it was such a tremendous gift. I was like totally shocked. But it's razor sharp. I put a convex edge on it. It's a full flat grind with a secondary bevel. I changed the secondary bevel to a convex bevel, which I do for virtually all my knives because then it makes it easier to strop and keep really razor sharp. So that's my neck knife. The knife that I carry on my side varies between a couple of knives. This is one of my favorites. It's in a Blind Horse Knives sheath. The sheath is a dangler, and it was actually meant for, I bought a BLSK 2. It came in that, and I bought the flap over for the Blind Horse knife that I got a Woodsman Pro. I like that one so well that I bought another one, and I put the PLSK 2 in that, and I use this for my Bravo 1, and you'll see some sort of goo here. What I store this knife, and I store a couple of knives I keep in my pack in their sheaths, which is a major no-no because this is A2 steel, and I made a some sort of goo that I made out of transmission fluid and chassis undercoat. I mixed that together, and I just actually poured it into the sheath, and it absorbs into the leather, and that's just kind of some residue from it. But this is a Bark River Bravo 1 that I took most of the ramp off. With the ramp on it, it does not fit. With the ramp taken off, it fits in here perfectly. And so I just have to wipe that stuff off because it's in the bottom of that sheath. I just finished putting that stuff in there, so that's why it's such a mess. But I can't stand rust, and because I'm a knife collector, and so any knife that I do happen to store in its sheath, which is very few of them, is either going to be a stainless knife or one that the inside of the sheath has it's completely impregnated with oil. So I still am going to have to wipe this off before I use it. But that's one knife that I carry with me. On my pack, I have this knife, and I put it on, I turned it into a dangler because I really like dangler sheaths, because when you're carrying a backpack, not a day pack, but a regular backpack where you have a belt, a waist belt, the knife is covered up by the waist belt, so a dangler makes it fall farther down on your side so it doesn't get tangled up. So this small knife I keep up here, or sometimes if I'm not carrying this knife, sometimes what I'll do is clip this one, and that's why I've got it on a real carabiner, because sometimes you need to have a real one for like hanging your hammock or some kind of thing where you have to have one that's strong. So I always use real ones. And if this was not here, I could hang this off my belt loop, or if I didn't have a belt on, I still could use this. And this one just hangs down here on the carabiner. This one is a Kershaw Skyline, and it's a stainless blade. It's a great looking knife, and it's razor sharp. I use this for delicate stuff, but sometimes I just want to carry a smaller knife on my hip, and that's when I'll carry this. Otherwise I'll stick it up there. And once again, I said before, this is for exercising mostly, so I don't really care about the extra weight. The other knife I always have with me is on this carabiner. Let me see if I can just take it off. It's a little folding buck knife, and it's just a tiny little knife. This is one of the ones where, oh my gosh, I have no knife whatsoever. I always have this thing as a emergency backup to the backup to the backup to the backup. So this one's not very strong, but if you need a little tiny cutting tool in an emergency, this fits the bill. Okay, so that's that one. Sometimes, being a knife nut, I switch different knives out, so these are the ones that I've been currently carrying. And lashed to the inside of my pack, I just got this at about 4 months ago at Wilderness Outfitters store, Dave Canterbury's store, and this is the black Bushcraft Mora. That's the a lot thicker than the regular one. That's an 1/8 inch thick. I don't know if you can see that very well, but that's an 1/8 inch thick blade, and it's a lot more heavy duty. Love this. This is my favorite Mora now. It's got a blued, I would guess you'd call that a blued carbon steel blade. I still keep some oil on that. As you can see, it's shiny. That's still got oil on it. But I keep this right here, and this is actually lashed to the side of my pack. Right there. So it's on the right hand side. And the other knives that I keep with me are inside my pack, and I got my food in here, protein bars. And this is my heavy duty knife that I keep with me at all times. This is the SE5 and it's just in the plain Kydex sheath. This is just a no-frill sheath because I always keep it inside my pack. I have a couple other ones. I've got one that I won from SEP that I love, that I have a fancy sheath for that because that would be one I would carry on my side. This one I never carry it on my side, but this is a 1/4 inch thick steel, pretty much indestructible, and this is one I use for last ditch batoning or anything where I had to do super heavy duty work with it. I've got this one to do that with, so that's what I always keep in my pack. And the other one, this one also I keep greased because this is the other one that I wear all the time on my side. So if I'm not going to wear it on my side, I got it stuffed in my pack, so I have it. And this is the one I got from the canteen shop. I totally love this knife. Once again, dangler sheath. I turn them all into dangler sheaths with the carabiner. The other way I make a dangler sheath is with a keychain ring and then a carabiner. Okay. This is a Blind Horse Knives made for the canteen shop. It's got a fantastic spear point blade, which I really like the spear point design, and it's an 1/8 inch thick steel, so it's fairly small or fairly thin, Scandi grind. It's got a broad profile of the blade, so it's a really strong blade. Handle fits really comfortable, but once again, this is one of my favorite ones to carry, and it's got the goop all over it from and once again, I don't know if anybody ever wants to make some kind of goop like that, but it's basically automotive undercoating wax mixed with transmission fluid, and about 2/3 transmission fluid, 1/3 of the wax, and then I just pour it right in the sheath and just let it sit there overnight. Put it in a plastic bag, of course, because some sheaths have drain holes on them, and then that sucks into the pores of the leather. So besides making the leather completely waterproof, you can safely store a knife in there. The only problem is you got to wipe it off before you use it. Which I don't use any of these knives for cooking. When I'm going to cook something, I use a stainless knife. So I would use this knife for cooking, or if I know I'm going to be cooking, I'll carry a different stainless blade. But I like to use stainless for cooking as opposed to carbon steel. And I think I actually have my other one of my other favorite neck knives in here. I think so, here. Yeah, I do. This is one of my favorite neck knives. This was my neck knife I always used before. This is the Azula 2, so it's got the longer handle. This is razor sharp. I put a convex edge on that too. But that's also, I couldn't part with that, so I put it back in my pack. But this is that was the one, before I got this one for my sister, I was always carrying this one. And I modified the case. I put a fire steel inside it. There's a light that hangs down if you squeeze it, so you've got light shining down. On the back side is a survival whistle, and there's a fire steel striker inside. This has got Ranger bands on it, and the fire steel is right there on the side next to the light. So I got those several items that would come in handy. So that, Rob, is the knives that I carry with me. Being a knife nut, I've got lots of knives that I love switching through, so I don't always carry the same ones, even the same day, 2 days in a row, but most of the time I have these knives with me, unless I just happen to feel like I want to carry one of the different ones. This one right here is always with me, so that's kind of a boring, one pocket knife. especially for our group of guys. We got to carry, you know, multiple knives. But like I said before, because I work in front of a huge toolbox that's got every kind of tool you can think of in it, I don't really need to have anything with me. Except for, I did forget, I always carry a a Leatherman tool. This happens to be a Leatherman Wave. This has, you know, everybody's seen Leathermans. So it's got the pliers, but it's got a couple of really nice blades that I like. This one right here is a plain edged blade. I also reprofiled that. And this one, the blade's lock, which I like that feature. This one is a serrated blade, which I don't use serrated blades very often at all. I find them hard to sharpen, and a lot of times they are weaker because the way they're almost always have a single bevel instead of, you know, from both sides, and I guess you call it a chisel bevel or a chisel grind, and so that's inherently weak when you have it on a serrated edge because of how narrow, or I mean how shallow that grind is. I find that it's real easy to roll that edge. So once that's rolled, then you've got the hassle of trying to get that straightened out. So I typically don't carry any serrated blades. This one, you know, you got that's an extra blade. But anyway, I just wanted to show you what I carry with me. Rob, I hope you are satisfied with this. I enjoy doing this. I wanted to thank you for tagging me. I have hardly ever been tagged for anything, and this was one that I really enjoy doing. So I want to tag. I'm going to tag 4 other people, and one of them is my good friend Dave Wendell, Bushcraft on Fire. That's Bushcraft on Fire, Dave. I'd love to see your EDC knives. Also Terry, Iowa Woodsman. I have a lot of respect for you. I'd like to see what knives that you carry with you at all the time. And my buddy over in Germany, Nature Lover, Natur Liebe, I think you pronounce that, Natur Liebe. Tito, I want to see what knives you carry. And lastly, Ulrika from Sweden. She's got a super channel. I really enjoy watching her videos. Great smile. She's you just sit there watching it and you're smiling yourself watching her because she looks so happy all the time. Gulrika, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, but I'm going to put everything down at the bottom so that you'll know who you are, and I'm also PM you. Thanks once again, Rob, for this tag. I really enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next one. God bless.